All right, so we're making some more headway. We've got our front wiring loom pulled through all of the supports. We were actually able to use our other frame over there to look at where all of the mount points for the harness were, and then easily find them on this one and pull it off. So it's pretty handy that we have that. So I've gone ahead and pulled it through all the stuff in the front. I've done my best to not disassemble any of the mechanical stuff and just get the wiring pulled through. I have started to label it a bit. We've got like our generator hookups, coolant temp sensor, and etc. And then that's going to pull through this grommet down here, and then that'll come through into the interior of the car, up through there. Hopefully you can see that. And then that joins up with the main harness, which then pulls through that spot right there where the fuse block was. There's basically where the fuse block was, or is. Oops, let me just get it right here. So basically a large kind of gasket, and then you've got your fuse block and then a big grommet for your harness. So we should just be able to go ahead and pull this through the firewall and then pull the entire harness out. So we're going to give that a try. All right, so let's start pushing this loom through this grommet here. This is our engine bay and goes to our transmission and also our front headlights and indicators. So this is our basically front end wiring harness. Push that through the grommet and hold. Let's see, get the grommet through. All right, there's the grommet. And once that's started, I'm just going to reach in the car, hold of it, because it was getting caught up on the pedal assembly. So let me find it. Here it is. All right, so I'm going to basically use this hand to pull through on the inside of the car, and then I'll kind of guide it through with this hand here. I'm going to be careful not to damage it. There we go. So now that front harness is pulled through into the car. And the way they have it designed, everything now should come out here. Once again, I'm going to want to come in this side and then just sort of guide it through. It's basically our instrument panel. Looks like our steering wheel hookup. There's our front assembly. And there we go. That's pretty much it for Spitfire wiring. We've got some wiring that goes this way. I think I've got it all disconnected. I might have to go and check. Still hooked up on a regulator. Duh. There we go. All right, that's it. Now, aside from our back piece that we had disconnected and pulled out, this is the entire wiring loom for a Spitfire. So really not that much. That's about it. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our time while we know what everything is. I'm going to go ahead and start to label what various bits were, because although I'm planning on not reusing this, I'm either going to rebuild one, buy one, whatever. If I do need it or I need it for reference, I'd like to have it. So I'm going to spend the time, get it labeled up. All right, so again, we've got all the wiring removed. So just really quick, got it laid out, and Sharky's going to walk on it, but that's okay. And so I've kind of got it laid out the way that it comes out of the car, and I've hooked up the rear harness. Most everything's labeled. So kind of looking in the front area, this piece over here would attach to our hood and where all the lamps go. There's our horn connectors. We've got a piece that attached to the steering rack Not sure what those wires do, but they look like grounds because they're black wires, so we'll have to figure that out as we go. Anyway, we've got a water temp sensor, our generator hookups, oil pressure sensor, a branch that goes to our transmission, and then of course this is where it would enter the, this is where it would enter the cabin, and it would come back around into our, there's our steering wheel harness. It actually comes out of the cabin again where our fuse block is, goes along the firewall, and we have, there's a relay on the firewall, a voltage regulator, and then of course the starter solenoid. Back underneath the dashboard, we've got our steering wheel connector, we've got our branch to the back, we've got our nest of all the wires for the instrument panel, our flasher for the turn signals, and then this piece here, it actually comes out again right here and would attach to our windshield wiper motor. Okay, then of course we've got the branch that goes to the back, and that leads to our fuel sender, our fuel level sender for our gauge. And then of course we've got our rear tail lights on the left side, we've got our license plate lamp, and then our tail lamps on the right side. And that's pretty much it. And Sharky's going to sniff it all and make sure that it's right and labeled correctly. Alright, what we're doing now, trying to get the steering shaft off, so there should be a bolt that where the shaft goes into the steering rack, and that's going to kind of hold it on. That can sort of pinch it down, so I think I'm removing that now. And then we should be able to loosen the steering wheel in the actual interior, the column from the column support, and the entire thing should actually pull out and pull through. Tight fit, because again, we're trying to minimize any mechanical stuff being taken apart. So here's our nut and bolt from the front there. I had to turn the wheel a bit, get it lined up right, and I was able to get a wrench underneath in just the right spot. So I'm assuming that this would hold on the actual shaft. There would be a straight piece or an indented piece that this would lock into as a key and prevent you, even if this came loose, as long as it didn't come all the way out, you wouldn't be able to pull the steering wheel. Alright, so there were two brackets up underneath the steering column, and I went ahead and loosened those, and I think we should be good to pull the whole thing out. Alright, so just a brief update. We got the steering shaft removed from the rack and pulled through the firewall. Just loosened the nut on it and then had to hammer the shaft out. I'll show you. Here, just basically kind of hit it out. I did get the steering wheel and column removed. Also pulled off this vinyl on the back here, and if you look, we've actually got some nice original shiny blue paint. So that's really good to see on the wheel tubs, that these are something that could really rust out good. So right now, as you can see, that's where our steering column would have gone through. We've removed this centerpiece right here that the radio mounted. We've got the carpeting out. Now we're going to go through and get the transmission tunnel cover taken out. And it's interesting to see, as we pulled the carpet away, there was a little bit of tape over this piece here. And it looks like someone had cut this to do some sort of a repair or some work there. It's tough to get the light. Let me detach the light, see if that helps. There, you can kind of see what's back in there. That's kind of interesting. So, no cool messages written on anything yet from the factory, but oh well. Keep hoping. All right. So right now we're just going to remove these bolts here, and then this tunnel should come off. We're going to have to remove our shifter ring and shifter boot. And this pretty much is essentially, I'm guessing, is an aftermarket shifter, because I know on the other car had a much longer handle, and of course the Triumph shift knob. I'll bet you this is an aftermarket piece from the late 60s, early 70s or something like that, a short shifter kind of deal. All right, so we're going to continue and press ahead. All right, cool. Then you can just lift the ring off. You can leave the rubber piece for now and just lift the metal ring. And then the rubber piece, there's all the, yeah, let's see if we can get the knob off. There's the rubber boot with squirrel bits inside, mice bits, whatever it is. So, and here's the bushing and how sloppy it is. Good. There's all kinds of nuts and berries falling off of it. So I bet you they had cut a hole in it to get to the clutch sleeve cylinder, which is right there. This piece right here. So if you were going to replace that, that would be one way to get to it without having to remove everything. It's hard to tell if it's been replaced because they might have done it 40 years ago. But here's our mounts. Here's the drive shaft. Yeah, that's pretty much, there's our exhaust under there. It's one greasy transmission. All right, so we now have to take off our emergency brake, and then we'll do one more check and see if there's anything else other than the body bolts. I think we're getting very close. So in preparation of getting the body off, we just jacked it up real quick and went ahead and disconnected the suspension arm so I can grab the camera and kind of show what we did. So here's that kind of trailing arm piece, and there's where it bolted up. So we basically just jacked it up, took the wheel off, and it was a 14mm bolt, and then just hammered the bolt out, put it back in so we don't lose it, and for now that'll do. And that is attached to the actual body, so we needed that taken off. We should be able to pop this bracket out. I took the bolts off on the inside of the body, but with rust and age, it's just stuck on there. So it was faster to come in here and hit that out. So we're gonna do that to the other side, and then I think all we have to do is remove the body bolts and we should be ready to lift it. All right, so we're getting the body bolts off. Clean out where they are a little bit. That one's out. Got one of these out. Still got that one. That one's out. It broke actually, and then we'll have to get that one. But in the meantime, if you want to position on that one. Make sure you're on it good. Give it a try, see if you're on it. You're good. Just go ahead and hold it down, and there you go. All right. I'll trade you this one. Just need to clean. There we go. All right. There we go. That one didn't break. Oop. All right. So that should be those front pieces. Now there's a couple down in there. We'll have to get those. Look like fun. nice and easy to see. Oops, 2 right in the drain bucket. All right, so to be honest with you, I don't want to drop my tool, but it looks like the body's already starting to lift on the front. So I think that's pretty much it for the front. We've got to figure out what's holding it in the back. Oh, I'll grab the camera before you turn it off. Didn't show the bracing that we did. So a couple things we did that we didn't have on camera. We did remove the window regulators and glass, and then went ahead and welded in a little bit of bracing on the body here, because eventually we'll take the doors off. In the meantime, that'll allow our doors to close the way they were closing, at least before we got to it, because I had them shut when I welded these in. And the idea is that this will keep this from twisting as we lift it off the body and move it around. So, all right, so we're making headway. We went ahead and removed the 2 bolts on either side there. We did remove that center plate. That's just the attachment point for the spring pack. The reason we removed it is after we removed these 2 back ones, it still wasn't wanting to lift in the back. What we ended up finding was under this kind of sounded material were 2 more bolts. And one thing that was very handy, since we have this frame over here, we were able to kind of check. So here were the 2 front bolts on either side. Here's the midpoints. And then here's those parts up in the raised area. But what we didn't notice right away was this piece right here, and that's where those other 2 bolts thread in. So hopefully we take those out, and then we'll see if the body will lift. So I'll trade you camera. Take this one out. All right, so we're getting ready to lift the body off. So what we've done, I've got a jack here just to get the suspension high enough to fit the arms of our engine crane or shop crane under there. I've got a just kind of toe strap sort of deal, or a tie down strap wrapped around those brackets to give us a central point of lift there, because we're going to do this with 2 people. At least we're going to try to do it with 2 people. We'll see how it works. We did get everything unbolted. I was having trouble with the body not wanting to lift. I ended up taking off the seatbelt retainers, which is good that they just screwed out. Those must have bolted into the frame, which I can't find corresponding holes on that frame over there, but this might be a difference between the Mark II and the Mark III. Anyway, everything's good back here. It's light enough back here. I'm going to lift back here. We're going to use the shop crane on this end. And then what we're going to do is temporarily put it in the middle on those jack stands. Then we'll roll the chassis away, and then we'll transition the body over to here after we clean up all the rust that's fallen off of the body. And then that's probably about it for today. All right, so to work this thingy, it's already tight. It goes slow. You just jack this thing. And then when it comes time to move it, you'll just take it and heave it. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so I'll make a burger out of this. Alright, so we can continue. I'm going to jack up the back and left that side. Everything looks clear up here. think mine's about as high as it's going to go.
Okay.
And I am clear of everything. The only thing that we're not clear of is the shipper.
Okay.
So if you can keep going, hopefully you've got some more room. You got to go about 4 inches up here. So keep going. All right, if you do like 3 more, I think you got it. All right. Not hard. All right, ready? Okay, I'm going to pivot around. And you pull that back as hard as you can. Oh, careful, careful.
Okay.
All right, now swivel to the side. All right, go ahead and pull it back. We're clear?
Yep.
All right, then pull back, go wherever you need to go. Try to swivel it around as best you can and get it lined up. All right, are we clear of everything?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, can you come put the jack stands on the pinch welds? They're the pieces underneath that it looks like a straight line where things connect. All right, can I sit down? All right, thank you. I was running out of steam. All right, we got it. All right, so now what we're going to do is line up with this pinch weld, which it pretty much is. It's pretty much lined up. All right, so we're going to roll this car, this chassis, out of the way, and then the body's right here.
Okay.
So you can get just go back a little bit and get it away from the car, like that. Okay. Go a little more. It's good when you pick the car up. Try and grab the lid. All right, I think we're good.
Ready?
So for now, I'll leave this hanging more than I have to. It seems stable. It doesn't seem to be moving at all, which is great. All right, so we've got the jack stands on the pinch welds of the body. Our bracing worked good. There was no flexing at all. And we used the shop crane and then rolled the old chassis out of the way. So what we're going to do, we're going to clean this area up. This is all the crap that came off it as we unbolted everything. And again, this is where our body's going to sit, in this area. So we're going to go through here, clean it up, pick up any nuts and bolts that we didn't catalog or whatever, and sweep it up. And we're going to put the body on a set of jack stands here, and then we'll roll the chassis into that center area. All right, so now we've got the chassis out of the way. We're going to put the body in its permanent spot right here. All right, it's off pretty good.
Yep.
All right, ready? Okay. If you now just come around front and push the boom. So leave it where it is and just push the.
Push this?
Yep. There you go. We're pretty straight.
Okay.
So if you can come in the back here and go ahead and get my jack stands on the back pinch welds. Hang on. All right, well, thanks for joining us today, and we've accomplished what we set out to do, and that was separating the body from the chassis of our old Spitfire. Obviously, we've still got a little bit of cleanup work to do. We've got things on the firewall to clean up. We've got a couple of things in the dash panel to clean up. We've got a little piece there to remove on the body. And then, of course, we'll get the doors off, and we've still got to strip the locks and the hinges and the latches off of them. But we've got the windows and all that stuff out. We've got our bracing in here. So this is really going to be all set very soon. This body is going to be ready to be blasted and have all the metal, rust, and everything just cleaned off and removed off of it. As for our rolling chassis right here, we're probably going to roll it out the next nice sunny day that we get, power wash it and just clean it up, get some of the dirt and grime off of it, and that way this can sit in here, and it's going to work great for us. I mean, this thing has everything we need on it. It's going to show us exactly how it should run and bolt to the new frame that we're putting together over there. So I think we're going to be in great shape. So again, you know, obviously this is just the start of the project, but we've got a long way to go, but we made some good headway today. So I really appreciate y'all joining us, and we'll keep you updated as we make headway on the Spitfire project.